In the annals of esoteric wisdom, the Hermetic Corpus stands as a luminous beacon, a collection of mystical dialogues attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, the mythical amalgamation of the Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth. These texts whisper of divine truths, cosmic mysteries, and the eternal quest for enlightenment. Welcome to Book Therapy. Let's dive into the treatises that comprise the Hermetic Corpus. We begin with Poimandres, also known as the Shepherd of Men or the Divine Mind. This treatise unfolds as a revelatory vision experienced by Hermes himself. In a state of deep meditation, Hermes encounters a radiant being, Poimandres, the Divine Mind, whose brilliance eclipses the mortal realm. Poimandres speaks, and through this dialogue, the secrets of creation are laid bare. The narrative begins with the primordial chaos, an unformed void pulsating with potential. From this chaos, the Divine Mind initiates creation, a process likened to a divine word or thought that brings order to disorder. Light emerges as the first manifestation of divine will, separating itself from the heavy, dark waters of the abyss. This light becomes the divine fire, the essence of life, and the cosmos begins to take shape. Humanity, according to Poimandres, is born of a unique lineage. Humans are both mortal and divine, a duality that mirrors the cosmos itself. Poimandres reveals that humanity's true nature is not bound to the physical form but resides in the immortal soul, a spark of the divine fire. Yet, ensnared by material desires and the illusions of the senses, humans forget their celestial origin. Redemption lies in gnosis, the direct, experiential knowledge of the divine. To achieve this, one must transcend the physical and ascend through the celestial spheres, shedding the illusions of each realm to reunite with the Divine Mind. The vision concludes with a call to action. Hermes is charged to share this wisdom, urging humanity to awaken to their divine nature. This is no mere theological discourse but a profound call for spiritual transformation, a reminder of the luminous potential within each soul. The journey continues with the general sermon, also known as Logos to Tat. This treatise is framed as an intimate dialogue between Hermes and his son Tat, a seeker yearning for wisdom. The tone shifts from revelatory to pedagogical, as Hermes imparts the principles of divine order and cosmic unity. Central to this discourse is the concept of the Logos, the divine word or reason that permeates all existence. The Logos is the binding force of the cosmos, an invisible thread that connects the seen and unseen, the material and the spiritual. Hermes explains that the universe is a living being, animated by the divine will. Its cycles, from the movement of celestial bodies to the rhythms of nature, reflect the harmony of this divine order. Tat, embodying the earnest seeker, questions the nature of humanity's relationship to this cosmic order. Hermes responds with a profound analogy: the human soul is a mirror of the cosmos, a microcosm within the macrocosm. By understanding oneself, one gains insight into the workings of the universe. This self-knowledge is not merely intellectual but deeply spiritual, a recognition of the soul's divine origin and its connection to the Logos. The dialogue also delves into the process of creation and the role of the divine intellect. Hermes describes a universe imbued with divine reason, where all things exist in a state of interdependence. To live in harmony with this order, humans must align their will with the divine will, transcending the illusions of the material world. This alignment, Hermes teaches, is the essence of true wisdom. Both treatises, though distinct in style and approach, converge on a singular message: humanity's potential for enlightenment. Poimandres awakens us to the grandeur of creation and the divine fire within, while the general sermon guides us toward understanding our place in the cosmic order. Together, they offer a roadmap for spiritual ascent, a journey from ignorance to gnosis, from the confines of the material to the boundless realms of the divine. In the sacred sermon, the discourse begins with the assertion that God, the source of all, is the ineffable one, the absolute and the eternal. But in this divine simplicity lies an all-encompassing power, a force that pervades every atom, every thought, and every being. This one is not a distant deity but an intimate presence that speaks through the cosmos. The treatise invites us to reflect on the idea that everything in the universe is a reflection of this divine source, and to understand this truth is to grasp the key to the mysteries of life itself. The symbolism of God in the sacred sermon is not one of a separate, transcendent being, but of a living force that flows through all things. Here, we find a world not of detached elements but of interwoven unity, where all creation is a manifestation of divine thought. In the Hermetic worldview, the universe is not merely a mechanical system, but a divine mind made manifest, constantly evolving, thinking, and expanding. The universe itself is the thought of God, an idea given form. And just as a thought cannot exist without a thinker, so too does creation point back to the mind that conceived it. This brings us to the soul's journey toward divinity, a central theme of Hermetic thought. In this cosmic narrative, the soul is not an isolated entity but an integral part of the divine order. It begins in the material world, bound by the illusion of separation, but its true nature is that of the divine spark. The soul's path is one of awakening, of remembering its divine origin and returning to the one from which it came. In the sacred sermon, the journey of the soul is portrayed as a gradual process of purification and enlightenment, an ascent from ignorance to knowledge, from darkness to light. The soul's true freedom lies not in escaping the material world, but in recognizing the divine presence that permeates it. The teachings in the sacred sermon suggest that to understand the universe is to understand oneself. To know the divine is to know the deepest truths of existence. In this way, the treatise offers not only a cosmology but a guide for personal transformation. It speaks to the eternal quest for wisdom, urging the seeker to look within, to recognize the divinity that lies hidden in the depths of the soul, and to realize that the divine order is not something to be grasped intellectually but something to be experienced directly, in the very fabric of life itself. In contrast, the cup or monad offers a striking image of divine wisdom, a cup, filled to the brim with the essence of the One. This cup is not a mere object but a symbol of the divine outpouring of knowledge and grace. In this treatise, the cup is offered by God, representing the act of divine generosity, the willingness of the One to share its wisdom with humanity. It is a vessel of illumination, holding the essence of truth, ready to be imbibed by those who seek to understand the mysteries of existence. The symbolism of the cup is rich with meaning. It evokes the idea of a sacred vessel, one that contains the highest truths of the cosmos. In many esoteric traditions, the cup is seen as a symbol of the soul, which must be emptied of ego and worldly attachments in order to be filled with divine wisdom. The cup is both a container and a conduit, a means through which the divine flows into the world. But it is not simply a passive vessel. To receive the divine wisdom of the cup, one must approach it with reverence, humility, and readiness. It is a call to spiritual discipline, to purify the self in order to receive the gift of enlightenment. The cup or monad also touches on the idea of unity. The monad, in Hermetic terms, represents the One, the source from which all things emanate. It is indivisible, whole, and complete. The cup, as a symbol of the monad, speaks to the idea that all of creation is an expression of this singular, unified source. In the Hermetic worldview, there is no true separation between the divine and the material world. Everything that exists flows from the One, and the One is present in everything. The cup, then, becomes a symbol of this unity, a reminder that all things are interconnected and that the divine is not distant or abstract but immanent, present in every moment and every form. As we delve deeper into the symbolism of the cup, we realize that it represents more than just divine wisdom. It is also a symbol of the soul's potential. The soul, like the cup, is capable of receiving and containing the divine light. But just as the cup must be clean and untainted to hold the precious liquid, so too must the soul be purified to receive the divine wisdom that the One offers. The soul's journey is not merely one of intellectual understanding, but of spiritual transformation, of becoming a vessel worthy of the divine outpouring. In the vast tapestry of existence, there is a paradox that lies at the very heart of the universe, a paradox that transcends time, space, and all that we can comprehend. It is a paradox so profound that it escapes the grasp of ordinary thought, yet it is woven into the very fabric of our being. This paradox is the subject of the Hermetic treatise. Though unmanifest, God is most manifest. In this text, Hermes Trismegistus speaks of the divine in a way that shatters our conventional understanding. The divine, he says, is both unmanifest and yet everywhere, invisible yet undeniably present. It is the essence that pervades all things, yet it remains beyond our ability to fully see or grasp. God, in this sense, is not a being we can point to or describe in physical terms, but rather an ineffable force, an all-encompassing presence that transcends our senses. The very idea of the divine being both hidden and revealed simultaneously is an invitation to look beyond the surface of reality, to recognize that what is truly real cannot always be seen with the eyes. It is the unspoken truth, the silent pulse of the universe, ever present, yet only known through its effects, its manifestations in the world around us. And so, the question arises, how do we reconcile this paradox? How do we come to understand a God who is both hidden and present? The answer, according to Hermes, lies not in external observation, but in internal realization. It is through self-awareness and spiritual insight that one can begin to perceive the divine presence in all things, not through the eyes of the body, but through the eye of the soul. The more we strip away the layers of illusion, the more we begin to glimpse the unmanifest force that shapes and sustains all life. This theme of divine hiddenness and revelation leads us seamlessly into the next profound reflection found in that God alone is good. Here, Hermes speaks directly to the nature of divine goodness and the soul's relationship with the divine. In a world filled with shadows and imperfections, the idea of absolute goodness can seem distant, even unreachable. But Hermes assures us that God alone is good, unconditionally, entirely, and without limit. Goodness, in its truest sense, is not something we find in fleeting moments or temporary experiences, it is the very nature of the divine. It is the foundation of all that exists, the source of all beauty, truth, and harmony in the universe. To truly know the divine is to come into direct contact with this goodness, to align oneself with it, and to reflect it in our own lives. Yet, the relationship between the soul and the divine goodness is not a simple one. The soul, according to Hermetic thought, is both a reflection of the divine and a creature in need of purification. It is through the cultivation of wisdom and the pursuit of spiritual enlightenment that the soul becomes attuned to the divine goodness, shedding its impurities and aligning itself with the higher, unchanging reality of the divine. In this sense, the soul's journey is one of return, a return to the source, to the divine light from which it originated. But this return is not a passive process. It requires active engagement with the divine, an effort to embody the goodness of God in all actions, thoughts, and intentions. In essence, the soul must strive to mirror the divine goodness in its own nature, becoming a vessel for the light of the divine to shine through. The pursuit of divine knowledge and wisdom is the focus of the final treatise we explore. The greatest ill among men is ignorance of God. Here, Hermes takes on a more urgent tone, warning humanity of the greatest affliction it faces, the ignorance of the divine. This ignorance, he asserts, is the root of all suffering, confusion, and disconnection from the truth. To be ignorant of God is to be lost in a world of shadows, trapped in a cycle of delusion and misunderstanding. It is to wander aimlessly through life, unaware of the divine light that is available to guide and transform us. But ignorance is not merely a lack of knowledge, it is a spiritual blindness, a failure to recognize the presence of the divine in our lives and in the world around us. It is the failure to see that everything, every moment, is infused with divine meaning. According to Hermes, the cure for this ignorance is not intellectual knowledge alone, but a deep, transformative wisdom, a wisdom that comes from direct experience with the divine. This wisdom is not acquired through books or external teachings alone, but through inner revelation, through a personal journey of self-discovery and spiritual awakening. The ignorance of God is, in a sense, the ultimate veil, a veil that must be lifted in order to see the world as it truly is, a reflection of the divine, filled with infinite potential and wisdom. The call, then, is to awaken to the truth of our own divine nature, to the reality that the divine is not a distant concept, but an intimate presence that resides within us all. The greatest wisdom is the recognition of the divine in all things, the recognition that we are not separate from God, but part of the very fabric of divine reality. This wisdom, when embraced, has the power to transform not only the individual but the world itself, for it is through the recognition of the divine in all things that true harmony and understanding can be achieved. Let us first turn our attention to the profound assertion found in that no one of existing things perishes, but men in error speak of their changes as destruction and as death. This treatise boldly challenges one of humanity's most ingrained beliefs, the inevitability of death and the finality of destruction. It calls into question the very foundation of how we view the world, urging us to look beyond the surface and into the eternal. According to Hermes Trismegistus, what we call death is merely a transformation, not an end. The process of change, of birth and decay, is not destruction, it is the continuation of a cycle, a natural and eternal process that is beyond the grasp of our limited understanding. When we speak of death, we speak of the end of a form, but not the end of existence itself. The soul, the essence of who we are, is eternal. It moves through various states of being, shedding old forms as a serpent sheds its skin. Each moment of apparent destruction is merely a step in the ongoing evolution of the soul. The material world, with all its impermanence, is simply a reflection of a deeper, eternal reality. In this sense, the world is a great teacher, showing us that nothing truly perishes, but only changes, evolves, and ascends to new levels of being. This view of death as an illusion, as a mere change in form, is not just a comforting idea, but a deeply transformative one. It invites us to reconsider our relationship with life and death. If death is not an end, then the fear of it, so often a driving force behind human behavior, loses its grip on us. We are freed from the anxiety that accompanies the transient nature of our existence. We are reminded that we are part of an eternal flow, a cosmic dance that is constantly unfolding. The soul, though it may experience pain, loss, and separation, is never truly harmed. It moves through time and space, shedding and acquiring new forms, but it remains intact, untouched by the illusions of death. This profound understanding of the eternal nature of existence leads us naturally into the teachings found in On Thought and Sense, the universal mind. Here, Hermes Trismegistus invites us to explore the very nature of perception, thought, and the mind itself. In the Hermetic worldview, the mind is not merely a product of the brain or the individual self. It is part of the universal mind, a vast, all-encompassing intelligence that pervades the entire cosmos. The mind, in this sense, is not limited by the confines of the physical body or the personal ego. It is a reflection of the divine, an expression of the eternal wisdom that underlies all things. This idea of the universal mind is both humbling and liberating. It suggests that our thoughts are not merely our own, but are connected to a larger, cosmic intelligence. Every thought we have, every idea that arises in our minds, is a reflection of the divine order. The mind is not a separate entity, isolated from the rest of the universe, but is intimately connected to it. Our thoughts, our perceptions, our very consciousness, are part of the fabric of the cosmos, an expression of the divine mind that weaves through all of existence. The senses, too, are not separate from this divine intelligence. They are not simply organs of perception, but instruments through which the mind connects with the world. The material world, with all its beauty and complexity, is not separate from the divine, but is an expression of it. The senses, when properly understood, become gateways to higher knowledge. They are not to be dismissed or ignored, as some mystical traditions might suggest, but to be embraced as tools of divine revelation. The challenge, then, is not to escape the material world, but to see it for what it truly is, a reflection of the divine mind. The world is not separate from us, but is an extension of our own consciousness, a mirror that reflects our inner state. As we move deeper into the Hermetic Corpus, we come to the key, to the divine mysteries, a treatise that unlocks the doors to spiritual transformation. Here, Hermes Trismegistus provides a summary of the teachings that have been outlined throughout the other treatises, offering us a guide to understanding the cosmos, the divine, and the path to enlightenment. The key to unlocking the mysteries of the universe, he tells us, is not to be found in external rituals or practices, but in an inner transformation of consciousness. The cosmos, according to Hermes, is not a chaotic, random system, but a divine order that operates according to universal laws. These laws, while hidden from ordinary perception, govern every aspect of reality. The task of the seeker is to align oneself with these laws, to understand the divine order, and to live in harmony with it. This is not a passive process, but an active one. It requires spiritual discipline, self-awareness, and the cultivation of inner wisdom. The path to enlightenment is not one of escape from the world, but one of deep immersion in it. To know the divine, we must first know ourselves, and to know ourselves, we must understand the divine order that underlies all things. The process of spiritual transformation, as outlined in the key, is one of awakening, of becoming more conscious of the divine presence that is already within us. It is not a matter of acquiring new knowledge, but of rediscovering the ancient wisdom that lies dormant within the soul. This wisdom, according to the Hermetic teachings, is not intellectual knowledge, but experimental knowledge, gnosis, a direct, intuitive understanding of the divine. The path to gnosis is one of purification, of shedding the layers of illusion and ignorance that cloud our perception. It is a path of inner awakening, of aligning our consciousness with the divine mind, and of recognizing the interconnectedness of all things. The idea of the mind as a divine principle is explored further in the treatise called About the Common Mind. Here, the concept of a universal mind, one that encompasses and connects all beings, is presented as the cornerstone of Hermetic philosophy. The common mind is not confined to any one individual or any one aspect of creation, it is the very essence of existence itself. All things, whether they are living beings or inanimate objects, are manifestations of this singular, all-encompassing mind. In this way, the Hermetic teachings suggest that the universe is not a random collection of matter, but a purposeful, interconnected whole. The common mind is the divine force that unites all things, imbuing them with meaning, intelligence, and direction. The human mind, in its highest form, is an expression of this universal intelligence, capable of perceiving the divine truths that govern existence. The significance of this concept cannot be overstated. It challenges the notion of a fragmented, isolated reality, instead presenting a world where everything is interconnected, where the divine and the human are not separate but reflections of the same underlying principle. In this worldview, every thought, every action, every event, no matter how small, is a reflection of the divine mind. The universe, in all its complexity, is a living, breathing expression of the divine intelligence that governs it. As we continue our journey through the Hermetic Corpus, we encounter the Secret Sermon on the Mountain, a treatise that explores the mystical concept of spiritual rebirth. In this text, Hermes speaks to his disciple Tat, urging him to seek a higher understanding of life through a process of spiritual transformation. The Secret Sermon delves into the idea of being born again, but not in the conventional sense. This rebirth is not about physical renewal, but a profound, inner transformation. It is a shedding of the old self, a release from the limitations of the material world, and an awakening to a higher, divine state of being. This process of spiritual rebirth is framed as a promise of silence, a silence that is not the absence of sound but the silence of the mind, the stillness of the soul that allows one to hear the voice of the divine. It is through this silence that the seeker can begin to understand the deeper mysteries of existence. The teachings here are not simply intellectual but deeply experimental, urging the disciple to engage in practices that transcend thought and ego, leading to a direct experience of divine truth. The promise of silence is not just a withdrawal from the world, but an entry into a more profound reality, one that can only be understood through inner vision. In this silence, the soul is reborn, and the seeker becomes attuned to the eternal truths that govern the universe. The Secret Sermon emphasizes that this rebirth is not an easy path. It requires discipline, devotion, and a willingness to let go of the attachments and distractions of the material world. But for those who are willing to undertake this journey, the rewards are great: spiritual enlightenment, unity with the divine, and a deep understanding of the true nature of existence. In treatise called The Letter of Hermes to Asclepius, Hermes Trismegistus addresses his disciple Asclepius with a message of both awe and caution, reminding him of the delicate balance that governs the universe. Hermes speaks of the divine mind, the source of all creation, as the architect of the cosmos, its intellect manifesting in the form of both order and chaos. This letter is not merely a theological treatise, but a meditation on the intricate web that binds together the seen and unseen worlds. Hermes paints a picture of a world in which every element, from the smallest atom to the grandest star, is infused with the divine. Everything operates in accordance with the laws of nature, yet behind these laws lies an even greater truth, the unmanifest source, the ineffable God, the first principle, the One. Here, Hermes introduces the idea of a hidden harmony, an unseen structure to the world that governs the apparent disorder of life. This cosmic order, according to the letter, is both transcendent and immanent, existing beyond human comprehension, yet intimately woven into the fabric of our existence. It suggests that what we perceive as chaos or confusion is merely a surface illusion, a veil hiding the deeper truth of divine perfection. Humanity, in its limited perception, struggles to understand the purpose behind suffering, death, and decay. But Hermes reassures Asclepius that all things, even the seemingly negative aspects of life, have a place in the grand design of the universe. There is no true destruction, everything is transformed and transmuted in the ongoing process of creation. The letter goes on to explore the role of humanity within this grand cosmic order. Hermes calls on Asclepius to recognize that the soul, like the world itself, is part of a larger, interconnected system. The human soul, in its divine essence, is not bound by the physical realm but exists in a state of continuous evolution. This journey of the soul is one of purification, as it seeks to return to the divine source from which it came. The letter urges Asclepius to understand that the path to wisdom is not merely intellectual but spiritual. The human being must attune themselves to the divine will, aligning their actions and thoughts with the cosmic harmony that governs all things. In this way, the individual becomes a microcosm of the larger universe, a reflection of the divine order. In the second section, Definitions of Asclepius to King Ammon, the text shifts from a cosmic exploration to a more structured philosophical discourse. Asclepius, speaking to King Ammon, offers a set of definitions that attempt to encapsulate the very essence of reality. These definitions are not mere abstract concepts, they are profound insights into the nature of existence itself. Asclepius defines the soul, the body, and the divine with such precision that each word feels like a key unlocking a deeper understanding of life's mysteries. He begins by explaining the nature of the soul, which, according to Hermetic thought, is an immortal, divine essence that transcends the material body. The soul, Asclepius teaches, is not confined by time or space. It exists before birth and after death, moving through different planes of existence. The body, in contrast, is merely a temporary vessel for the soul, a transient structure that serves as the soul's vehicle during its earthly journey. But the body, despite its limitations, is not to be scorned. It is an instrument through which the soul can experience the physical world and undergo the trials that lead to its eventual liberation. The divine, Asclepius defines, is both the source and the sustainer of all life. It is not an abstract or distant deity, but a living presence that permeates all things. This divine essence is the unifying force that connects all beings in a single, harmonious whole. Asclepius' definitions also delve into the nature of knowledge, wisdom, and the pursuit of truth. He asserts that true knowledge is not found in external sources or material wealth, but in the inner cultivation of the soul. Wisdom, he says, is the ability to perceive the hidden patterns of the universe, to see beyond the surface and into the heart of reality. The key to this wisdom lies in the practice of self-discipline and spiritual purification, which allows the individual to align their consciousness with the divine mind. Through these definitions, Asclepius reveals a vision of reality that is radically different from the conventional worldview. In the Hermetic tradition, there is no clear separation between the physical and spiritual realms. Both are part of a single, unified reality, each reflecting and influencing the other. The material world is not seen as inherently evil or corrupt, but as a reflection of the divine order, a stage upon which the soul can learn, grow, and ultimately return to its divine origin. The definitions of Asclepius also offer a subtle critique of the materialism and superficiality of the world. In a time when the pursuit of wealth, power, and pleasure was often seen as the ultimate goal, Asclepius' teachings emphasize that these external achievements are ultimately hollow unless they are grounded in spiritual understanding. The true purpose of life, according to Hermetic philosophy, is not to accumulate material wealth or status, but to align oneself with the divine principles that govern the cosmos. It is through this alignment that the soul can achieve true freedom and transcendence. In exploring the Hermetic Corpus, we are invited into a world where the boundaries between the physical and spiritual realms dissolve, revealing a universe of hidden wisdom and profound mysteries. Through its timeless teachings, this ancient collection challenges us to rethink our understanding of reality, urging us to seek deeper knowledge and align ourselves with the divine order that governs all existence. The journey through these texts is not just intellectual but deeply transformative, offering insights that resonate with seekers across time and cultures. If you're intrigued by the mysteries of the Hermetic Corpus and the secrets it holds, join us at Book Therapy for more explorations into the world of esoteric literature, where ancient wisdom continues to inspire and enlighten.